What would your day look like if you could hire a professional cinematographer to film the whole thing? We decided to figure this out, so we reached out to our buddy Andrew, who is a fantastic DP, and he filmed our very own Connor for a full day. I thought the shoot went really well. It was so nice to work with someone with so much experience that I wanted to continue the conversation and share some of his insights with you.
Looking like another beautiful day here in the city.
Right away, like the very first scene, so when we transition from phone to camera, like it's clearly like there's something elevated happening here. I love the use of warm light used right away. How do you decide on color temperature for a scene? Are you using colored lights, or do you like to play with the color temperature in camera to shift things blue or warm? Like, how do you approach something like this?
I think my taste has always been more geared to a warmer look. And it's crazy when you see so many DPs that have an opposite preference and it's still so beautiful. But I think it starts with an intuition first. And it's always geared towards a warmer look. And you do want to offset that a bit. You know, if it's an interior, you do want a bit of a hit of something colder just to give a little bit of a mix. I think it adds more depth. But yeah, I think I always steer more towards 56. I think there's a lot of directors that I've worked with that they do, whether the story calls for it or they kind of nudge me to that place. There are times where I've done the opposite and I've been so happy with that. So I think there's always a beautiful dance with the production and the story and the director.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on this shoot, we're definitely working with some mixed color temperatures. How do you approach that with skin tone? Do you like embrace the imperfections of mixing light like that? Or is it something you think about where you want to try to neutralize everything?
Lately, I've been looking at, like for example, I didn't come up doing photography, but seeing some people like Deakins and Richardson, you know, they you would think that a blown out window or these imperfections are not cinematic, and then you look at it paused or like a still image and you're like, holy shit, like that's a beautiful photo, you know. And so I think the older I get, I'm calling these frames photographs rather than like, you know, motion or cinematography forward. I'm really trying to like compose pictures, you know, and then add movement to it, you know, with obvious motivation and things like that. But I think with that, to make something for me truly feel alive and almost like very human, I think part of that it comes with the imperfections of the photograph too.
That's such a good point. I find a lot of my favorite photographs do feel like truly a frozen moment that aren't like perfectly curated. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've been afraid to like blow out highlights for the longest time, and then I'm seeing this trend of like sometimes you got to let them blow out, and like some of the best cinematographers do that, and it looks great, you know. So I love that point. So let's dive into lighting a little bit. A lot of times for me, I find that my taste and my skill set aren't totally matching up. I'll be looking at the monitor on set, and I know something is off, but I don't quite have the tool belt to fix it. So two-part question: how often do you find yourself in a similar circumstance? And then what's your like go-to strategy to fix this?
Yeah, I think we always find ourselves sometimes maybe like we don't have enough, whether it be manpower or the actual, you know, hardware to achieve the look that we're really, really going for. But there's always like little tricks that maybe we can do. And I mean, for me, I lean a lot on negative fill because it's always like, it's easier to take away things, you know. But there's always little tricks that we can do on set. Like for me, I feel like negative fill is like secret weapon, you know, secret weapon and making things look really cinematic. And once you start using it, you realize there's almost, you feel a little bit less pressure. I remember Connor and I, we maybe used 2 lights on this, and there was, I think it was one of the first shots when he's just like kind of staring off. We kind of didn't know what to do, and we're kind of like playing with, I love a harsh back key, like a rim light, but for his frontal, I'm kind of figuring things out. I'm trying to figure it out, and we ended up using like a skip, I think, off his cabinets, you know. Yeah, and things like that, like a skip bounce, or, you know, I think in school a lot of times we would bounce off the ceiling, and I think this project kind of reminded us of those roots, you know, and using some of these things, negative fill, a little bounce, maybe like a bed sheet, you know, things that are just everyday things that still help you achieve a cinematic look, and have fun while doing it with your friends as well. Yeah.
I heard a really cool podcast about instead of using like sheets or other white bounces, he would use just like planks of wood, just like you're saying with the cabinets, to just give that light a little more character or more warmth, or just feel like it's reflecting off real surfaces. So that's so cool that you guys did that. The way the shoot worked out, it was, a lot of the stuff was happening in the middle of the day, the exteriors, and there was nothing we could do about it. So how do you approach like high sun, boring, overcast day? Like, what do you do to make this look as good as possible? Because sometimes I'll be on a shoot and I'm like, there's just no saving this shot, but I know someone better could do something to you know, make it usable.
Yeah, I think in those cases, like, I mean, first I would say, you know, try to have a flag kit, you know, that's kind of your invisible light, but, you know, your neg fill could save you. In our case, we didn't have any flags, but, you know, you kind of just look around, like, could your neg fill be a building? You know, could it be an underpass? You know, anything to kind of get something extra. I remember shooting in Central Park one time, and kind of same deal, you know, and we did find an underpass, you know, then you get your noir shot with the silhouette, you know, you can really push it that way. So it's really just about like being aware of your surroundings and seeing where best to frame your image, you know.
I've shot some things, I'm like, okay, I'm proud of this, and then sometimes I'll, you know, just be in the wrong location, like an all white room, and I'm like, man, like I just don't know what to do here, and then I feel like I'm going, you know, forward 2 steps, back 1 constantly, which I guess that's most people, right?
I mean, like, what's interesting is that, like, I definitely felt that, and then that's when I kind of pivoted more towards directing.
Well, I think some of the stuff you shoot is looks fantastic. So it's funny that, you know, we're dealing with some of the same feelings, just in different places.
You know what? I think it's a perpetual feeling with people that, I think the people watching this, like, we are all artists that strive for like better and better pieces every time. And so I feel like we're always going to kind of look at ourselves that way, but really, like, if you look at your work 2 years ago, there's a difference, you know. There's always going to be more that you're doing, and more that you're chipping away at that goal. But, you know, even the big guys, I'm sure, say the same thing about their own stuff and compare themselves to their peers. I mean, yeah, I feel the same way with some people around me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that. You know, it really is. Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time to answer some questions about this. I had a great time working with you, and hopefully we get to do it again soon.
Man, I had such a great time. Yeah, to many more.